Good evening, and how are you, faithful? CaptNiner coming to you with your Captain. Wait, that's the wrong show. CaptNiner coming to you this evening with the Week in Review show, not the Captain and Coffee show. Sorry. Saying that one so much, got my shows mixed up. We're here with the ninerfaithfulradio Week in Review show. Unknown if TJ is going to be showing up this week with the stuff he's got going on, so we will see what's going on with him. But whether or not, we'll figure that out here shortly. And then let me pull up his stuff real quick so I can pull up I hit the wrong button. Oh, it's only giving me options to my folder. What in the world is going on? All right, since we don't know where my folder is now because we switched over plans, so now everything's off. So, we'll be right back.
Founded and backed by the GOAT himself.
That's definitely not it either.
Anderson up quickly. 49ers getting a late substitute. Anderson puts the man in motion. Again dips to Johnson, and he gets down close. Looks like he's about a half-yard short. Ball inside the one.
Weiss has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana. Touchdown, John Taylor.
You're tuned in to Niner Faithful Radio, the show hosted for the faithful, by the faithful.
And we are back, faithful. Once again, we are talking about the 49ers taking on the Cleveland Browns this week. They are currently 3-8, and where are they at in the standings right now? Let's see real quick. I think they are pretty much at the bottom of everything. See, that tag is supposed to be on the other side. This is being really weird tonight. I don't know why everything's changing. Yeah, they are 3-8. Let's see, and yet they are at the bottom of the AFC North. So obviously, they're not going anywhere. This is a rebuilding year for them. Again, it feels like they're in a rebuild every freaking year. So, that's where they're standing. It's not a very good team in general. Obviously, we are going to be 8-4. Let's go ahead and get into everything here. So the big story of the week is obviously going to be must-watch TV. You are going to have Trent Williams, who is one of this generation's best left tackles, arguably the best left tackle of this generation, going against Myles Garrett, who is a generational talent. I love Trent, but all time, I'm not sure exactly where he ranks. If he even cracks the top 10, to be honest with you, kind of situation. That's something we could talk about later. But as far as Myles Garrett goes right now, he's just insane. He's at 17.5 sacks. The NFL record is 22.5 with TJ Watt and Michael Strahan. Honestly, it should be just Watt. Strahan has no right to have that record, considering that when he sacked Aaron Rodgers, Rodgers basically just laid down for him with that one. So, but anyways, unless he just stops for whatever reason, I see no reason why he will not break that record this year. He's probably, 23, 24. I mean, he just puts up sacks left and right and left. Let's see. Let me just do this. Sacks by. Let's see if they'll give me these sack numbers per week. All right. So he had week 1, 2. Week 2, 1.5, half a sack, 0 sacks, 0 sacks, 0 sacks. So we had 3 sacks, 3 games in a row with no sacks, and that was against Detroit, Minnesota, Pittsburgh. Then in Miami had 1 sack. In New England, the man had 5 sacks in week 8. Then they had their bye, and then he had week 10. He had 1 sack against the Jets. He had 4 more against Baltimore and 3 more against Las Vegas. So they are coming in huge chunks. So obviously we are hoping for what? Against our offensive line, if we walk out with anything less than 2 from Myles Garrett, I think that is a win. Or 2 or less from Myles Garrett, I think that is a win for our team. Because like I said, he can be stopped, and there's games where he doesn't show up. Doesn't show up, where he doesn't get sacks. He's just they come in huge chunks at a time from him. Again, so like I said, you get the 2, the 5, the 4, the 3. You know what I mean? So they're coming. That's 3 games with no sacks. He probably breaks the record. So he'd be at 20 if he had just gotten 1 sack in each of those games already. And then he would only need 2 sacks over the rest of the season to break the record. So, I mean, like I said, he's on an incredible race, an incredible pace. And that's 3 weeks, almost a month, 3/4 of a month without a sack. But yeah, so this is, like I said, this is going to be one of the best things about this game is we are going to see elite on elite. Myles Garrett does jump around a little bit, so obviously he'll be on Trent's. He does jump inside on the occasion. He'll be on McKivit's side, which obviously we know McKivit's does struggle, especially with some of these speed guys, and Garrett has everything. He's powerful and he's fast. So we'll see how McKivit's does holding up against Myles Garrett, and let's be honest, it's probably not going to be great. So as far as the Super Bowl goals, let's see. I'm looking at this right now. Philadelphia just lost to the Bears. So let's pull up the actual, let's see. NFL playoffs. I forgot to change this because, like I said, the Bears literally just beat the Eagles earlier today. So I believe the Bears would be number 2. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to share this tab instead. So right now, the number 1 team in the NFC is going to be the Rams, then the Bears, then the Eagles, who obviously just dropped to the Bears, the Bucks, Seahawks, Packers, us. We could have moved up to number 6 this week, but we didn't get the help that we needed, so we're still stuck down here at 7. So that means that the playoffs started today or tomorrow. We would be playing the Bears in the first round of the playoffs. But don't forget, we also play the Bears here in about 3-4 more weeks. So we still have, we'll see them definitely. Be interesting if we played them, if they stay the number 2 seed, we basically finish the season off with them and then play them again. That would be an interesting one to see. So over on the AFC, you've got New England 1, 2 is Denver, 3 is Jacksonville, 4 is Baltimore, 5 is the Chargers, 6 is Jacksonville, and then I said that wrong. And then number 7 is going to be the Buffalo Bills. But again, we still got a month and a half of football to go, so we will see how much this changes here in the next month or so. And so we'll get back over onto the correct screen. As far as the transactions this week, the only thing that we did, we did 2 things actually. We brought back in Eric Kendricks, somebody that we tried to sign last offseason. Did not go well because he decided, well, I shouldn't say he decided, but he was offered more money and more guaranteed playing time by the Cowboys. And as someone who is, especially someone like Eric Kendricks, who was a former All-Pro, I completely understand why he took that. It's what I would want being a player. I'd want more money and more time to play. So it completely makes sense as to why he took that. Kind of put us in a very screwed up situation where we end up having to sign number 59, who was absolutely the worst fucking player in damn near history of the NFL, or not history of the NFL, but of this franchise. And I would say that with some of the piss poor people we've had on here, just because of how his tenure ended. So there is a good chance that we might actually get to see him this week called up from the practice squad to play linebacker. Is obviously Curtis Robinson played okay-ish last week, and then obviously Tatum Bethune is still out with the high ankle sprain. And then the only other transaction that we had this week is that we also released off-again, on-again linebacker Stone Blanton from the practice squad. So that's it. Usually we have 4 or 5 things to talk about, but, apparently this is the only one this week. Apparently when they were talking with Shanahan was talking earlier, he had said that they've been having conversations with Eric for quite some time, but they just couldn't figure out a time and place for him to get onto the team. But apparently it seems like now is the time for whatever reason. I thought it would have been better to sign someone like that as soon as Fred went down. But we also, like I said, we did have Fred Bethune. We also had Tatum Bethune and Curtis Robinson. But now is the time we've got him on there. So, yeah, we'll see. And D. Winters has also been up and down kind of a situation, especially since Fred is out. When Fred was there, obviously Fred was covering for him because ever since Fred, he's had some good plays here and there, but it's been more negative than positive since Fred went out. That's it. Fred probably covers for a lot of stuff. So far for the injury report right now, obviously Robert Beal is back after the concussion protocol. Tatum Bethune is out still with the high ankle sprain. Luke Gifford has been full participant. CMC had a couple of do not participate, the non-injury days. That's probably just a couple of rest days for him. We're going on a short week, an even shorter week because we played Monday night. Then you got Thanksgiving. We have the early game on Sunday, so it kind of makes sense to give him an extra day of rest, especially coming up with the weather that is going to be in this game. It is going to be, there's like 25-mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be a wintry mix. It's going to be wet. It's going to be snowy. It's going to be windy. It's going to be ugly. So this is going to be a very heavy CMC and hopefully Brian Robinson game. Hopefully see a lot more of Brian Robinson than we have been, especially if we get a good 1-2 punch with this weather in this game. Because we know Brock in this game, in these kind of weather games, is terrible. And he even said that he's not going to wear a glove, which I think is stupid. At this point in his career, he needs to seriously think about putting the glove on. It's not going – at this point, I feel like it's just an ego thing with him as to why he will not put the glove on. Like, I understand you don't feel it as much and, you can't get – but look, man, you need a better grip on the ball, to be able to throw it, hold on to it, all that kind of stuff. Swallow your pride and put the damn glove on. That, to me, is one of the most important things. Just do it. I want to say even Tom Brady started wearing a glove towards the end of his career when he realized he had better grip on it. It's not going to end you. It's not going to make you look any less of a quarterback. Again, swallow your pride. Just put the damn glove on. Obviously, Sam Okawanu is also still out. Ricky Pearsall had the one day did not practice, but had 2 full participations. Eddie P, not going to be there for probably another week or so. Probably I would expect Eddie P not back until after the bye week. We also had Dominic Pooney and Brock Purdy on here. Both were full participants all 3 days. And then Trent Williams took his typical vet day off, but nothing unusual other than that. So obviously we've got Bethune, Okawanu, and Eddie P who are definitely out. And we'll see who else misses the game due to being inactive come here Sunday morning. For the Browns, they've pretty much got their full schedule off. The only people that are going to be out right now is Brendan Bates, their tight end, Aiden Harrington, one of the defensive ends, and Alex Wright. One of the big ones for them that is going to be back is going to be David Njoku, the tight end on there. Really amazing guy, tight end. Let's see, the 49ers have struggled in multiple tight end sets. So we'll see how much we get to see of Njoku and Harold Fandon, who I was a huge fan of coming back from Bowling Green in this year's draft. So, see if they deploy that 2-man or 2 to 3-man tight end set here on Sunday. But otherwise, they've pretty much got everybody back. They're ready to go. But again, at 3-8, yeah. All right, so let's talk about Stefan Stefanski. He is 43-52, 1-2 in the playoffs. Coach of the year in 2020 and 2023. Don't know why. I get 2020, but I'm not sure why he was coach of the year in 2023. Just I don't know how much I could put it on him. At this point, I just say, if the Browns came to me right now and they're like, Captain, we want you to coach the Browns, I'd probably tell them no. Just because it's just such a bad franchise, and it's like everything that they do is wrong. Perfect example, if they came to me and asked me to be their coach, that'd be a terrible decision by the Browns. I am not a head coach material for the NFL. And I could probably barely run a high school thing. I've coached high school wrestling, never coached high school football, so a little out of my league. But yeah, like I said, I think he's a good coach in general. I think all coaches are pretty much good. It's just sometimes you go to a really bad situation. Cleveland is a really bad situation. Then their offensive coordinator is Tommy Rees. But let's talk about the man of the hour, who is the Shanny Killer, a.k.a. one Jim Schwartz. Schwartz, one of those guys that just has the Shanahan number. Just struggles against him and a couple of the other guys. It's funny that Shanahan struggles against Jim Schwartz so bad. And yet we had before Shanahan, we had Harbaugh, who just, what's your problem, bro? And that whole situation that with him. And we used to, he handled Schwartz just fine. So again, it's going up against Jim Schwartz, who has an amazing defense, runs an amazing defense. I mean, let's be honest, any defense that has Miles, the only thing that keeps the Browns with any sort of relevancy is, one, they're terrible. Two, they've got the clown show that is the Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders train. And I'm not saying necessarily that he's a clown, but let's be honest, because of who Deion is and who his father is, it's always going to be way more publicity on that than anybody else. Yeah, Jim Schwartz is 8-1 against Kyle. Yeah, welcome, Mr. McNiner. How you doing? And then we got Elvis Santiago. How you doing, my man? Yep, a little bit backwards there. So, like I said, it's one of the guys that just has Shanny's number. And I think everybody at some point, somebody has your number, and no matter what. For the longest time wrestling, when I was wrestling, there was a guy that wrestled at ASIJ High School. Nagujima, I believe is what his name was. He was a Japanese national. I lost to him 7 times in a row before I finally beat him. And then what the thing was is that he wasn't actually that good of a wrestler. He just struggled against me. Or I just struggled against him. Because, I didn't beat him until my junior year. But I was, my freshman year, I went 26-4. My sophomore year, I went 31-8. And half my losses each year were to him. And then, like I said, I finally beat him in the first match in my junior year. But it's just it's crazy to think that someone out there, for whatever reason, whether they just know you a little bit better, they just have your number. So, what, Jim Schwartz just has that on there. Shedeur Sanders is still a rookie quarterback. Yeah, he is, and he's still not a great. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is that great, honestly. I thought he was a 3rd-round draft pick, talent-wise, and that's not an insult to him, but I just thought that, you know what I mean? He was great when him and his dad were in, what's the first place they were stopped at? I forget the first college they were at. They were average at Colorado. They didn't beat anybody great. He struggled in big games. And he struggled right now. He was 209 yards last year, less than 50% passing, 60-plus yards came on one throw. He hasn't been great. He was 4 of 16 the week before when he came in against the Bills, I believe is who they were playing. So it's not like he's burning up the league or anything like that. So, yeah. But speaking of that, may the Schwartz be with you. Yes, going back to some old school I was just talking about that movie the other day. Spaceballs. May the Schwartz be with you. Or my personal favorite, so I see your Schwartz is as big as mine, by Lord Helmet. So obviously this offense right now is going to be led by Harold Fannin, Shedeur Sanders, we just talked about. And, I can't. And now their running back is Oja Jinku. Why do I struggle with these guys' names sometimes? What's his name? I just had it earlier, and I told myself I didn't even say it here. Judkins. It's not even a hard name that I was struggling with. Quinshon Judkins. So, I mean, that's where their offense is going to go through. Obviously, Njoku should still be up there as well. But, yeah, they're not great. Points per game, they are 29th. Total offense, they're dead last. Passing yards, second to dead last. Rushing, 28th. Time of possession, 20th, and that's just probably because they're throwing it soon. Let's see. We got Elvis over here. My concern is Purdy plays terrible in bad weather, and that's going to be the difference. Yeah, like I said during the opening part of this, the weather's going to be shitty. It's going to be 30 to 35 degrees. The wind is going to be 20 to 25. You're going to get a wintry mix, so you're going to get some snow, some rain. And I've also seen conflicting reports that, it's not going to, where the game is barely, all of it's going to come before the game and it's going to stop at the game. I've seen other weather reports where it's going to hit smack dab in the middle of the game. Then it's going to hit at halftime. So it's kind of all over the place. So we're in for a treat when it comes to that. So I don't expect much from their defense, but then or from their offense, excuse me. I expect to basically kind of look like the Panthers did last week. You're probably going to be able to move the ball. We know how this defense is. Our defense is not going to shut them down by any means. It's probably going to actually make Shedeur look better than he usually would, simply because we give up so much. But what we're going to do is we're going to have to pick him off. We're going to have to, like I said, this defense is not dominant by any stretch. But what this defense has to do is that it needs to get 4 to 5 big stops every game, whether that's a couple of picks, a fumble recovery, a stop on 4th down when they go for it on our 35-yard line or something along those lines. Those are the kind of plays this defense needs to beat teams in general, but especially teams with an offense that is as putrid as the Browns. And you can say that this offense is absolutely putrid right now. Let's see. And then we go over to what Elvis is, and part of his concern is that this defense is it's Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is the best defensive player of this generation, and will go down as one of the best defensive ends in the history of the league. He's just absolutely insane. And then you throw someone up there next to him, like Mason Graham, who's only getting better. I loved Mason Graham coming out of college. I know one of the things that people talked about was that he was a little too chubby and that his game would not transfer over into the NFL because he was kind of lazy. But if you look at the picture of this young man right now, he's actually lost the gut. He's slimmed down a little bit and looks amazing. And, of course, when you're playing next to someone like Myles Garrett's probably dragged his ass into the gym with him. And, again, it just takes pressure off of you in general when you play with Myles Garrett, because everything is going to be on him. They've even got Ward in the backfield or in the defensive backside. They got Schwarzenegger, who is just a tackling machine in the middle of the defense. So this defense is actually not terrible. Points allowed, they're 11th. Total yards is 2nd. Passing yards 2nd. Rushing yards 11th. Sacks is, they're 2nd, which obviously most of those coming from Garrett. And then in interceptions, they're 14th. So this game, they're going to stop you, and they're going to make big plays on you. They've got 42 sacks. They've got, and then was it 9, 10? I don't have my glasses on 9. So in total, they've got 51 takeaways in the totality of the season. And then we got Papa J in the house. What is up, Papa? How you doing, brother? Thank you for showing up. So yeah, obviously this defense is going to be good in takeaways in general, as you can see. All right. When it comes to the fantasy football, they say Brock is going to get 21 points. I'm guessing they're hoping Brock gets at least 1 touchdown in there, because that's the only reason why Brock would get this many fantasy points on there. They've got Robinson down. There was only 3. That's going to be way higher. Again, I don't understand why they've got 3. CMC makes sense. That's about, you're always going to start CMC no matter what. I would think Brian Robinson's probably going to get closer to 10, 11. Well, yes, Elvis. They are damn good on defense. They've got great takeaways and everything else. Like I said, they're sacking people left and right. They're picking people off. Again, this defense is good. If they had a halfway competent offense, not even a good offense, just a halfway competent offense, this team is one of the best teams in the league, because defensively they're just stacked. They're stacked all over the place. But Brian Robinson is going to get more than 3 points in fantasy football. With this weather, you're not going to be able to run CMC like we are. There's just no way. We're going to have to get Brian Robinson involved much more in this game. And I say that, and then you'll get like 3 carries, because that's just what Shanahan does. Kittle with 13 sounds about right, because I see a lot of stuff for Brock that's going to be short. Hence CMC, 23 points. He's going to catch a lot of short stuff. Same thing with Kittle. And then I can see a lot of possible quick throws to Jennings and Pearsall, hence the reason where they're getting their numbers from as well. So the only people I would start on the Niners, if you're in fantasy football, would be Kittle and CMC. Otherwise, I would start Purdy if you were in a 2-quarterback league, and maybe Jennings as like a 4th quarterback if you have one of those huge, fantasy football leagues where you've got like 4 flex players or something like that. Otherwise, I don't think I really would start anybody, because, like I said, it's just not worth it. As far as the fantasy football goes, they've only got 12 points for Shedeur. Judkins, the running back, maybe I could see him. We give up a lot of runs. a lot of yards on the ground. And if it's going to be a game that's predicted to be where, there's not going to be much running, I could see him scoring some points simply because you hand the ball off 45 times or something to somebody, they're bound to break one or two to get some good points. So I wouldn't be surprised if Judkins got upwards of like 18 to 19, possibly even 20, just because of, You like that one, did you, Papa? I was wondering how many people were going to figure that one out. But yeah, so like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if, he scores a touchdown and has 115 yards just because they're going to hand it off to him. If you've got 25, 30-mile-an-hour winds, you're not going to be throwing it as much as you usually do. So I would not be surprised if they're just handoff. So who is their backup running back? Let's see. They've got Quinshon Judkins and then Jerome Ford, who obviously used to be there, but he was pretty good. And then Raheem Sanders. All right. And then as far as betting goes right now, the over-under is on 36.5. I'm going to take the under, again, because of the weather conditions. It's going to be shitty. So don't be surprised if, it's just not. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 17-10 game kind of a situation, or 17-14, 20-10, something like that, just because, again, the weather is absolutely horrible. The Niners are favored by 4.5. Again, I'll take both of those. Or excuse me, I would take the under at 36.5, and then I would take the Niners and the 4.5. George Kittle, 2 touchdowns. And again, by the way, if you have to put money on this game, go ahead. Otherwise, don't put money on this game. This game with this weather and our luck was we haven't beaten Cleveland in Cleveland since like 1994 or whatever it is. Just don't put money on it. Christian McCaffrey, receiving yards over 60. Yeah, I can see that. Again, just a quick out. And you know how CMC is. He makes one guy miss and he's got 30 yards. So, again, I could see that one. That was not too bad. Same thing with Kittle, 39-plus yards. Those are 2 $5 bets. So you're betting $10 and you're winning, you're going to win what? End up winning like $20 kind of a thing, or 12. Yeah, so you're going to end up with 22 some odd dollars you could possibly win with that. And that's it. Kyle jokingly said the more it rains, the more they're going to air it out. I don't believe Kyle. Come on, man. When has Kyle ever told the truth on any of that kind of stuff? Kyle wants you to think that's what he's not going to do. And he says it as a joke, and then that's what he was done. And then what's up, Mr. Kenny? We are 8-13 versus the Browns all the time. Yeah, we're not good against the Browns. For whatever reason, the Browns, besides like the 80s when they had Bernie Kosar on that whole team going on, they were pretty good in the 80s. This team has just been absolutely trash their entire, time. Well, not the entire, but the last 40 or 50 years, they've been pretty bad. A couple of good playoff wins here and there, but other than that, not much going on with the Cleveland except, losing. 97 was a 45 quarterbacks since 97 or whatever it is. The guy that's got like the cape or the wedding dress thing and whatever of all the quarterback names that have played for Cleveland. It's impressive to see that, someone will keep doing that. That is all for tonight. Again, quick show. Let's see, 36.5. Home team gets 3 points for us. Yeah, it's like I said, it's not going to be much. It's this is going to be an ugly game. We're probably going to enjoy watching this game because I can see it. It's going to be ugly to watch or good to watch, but terrible to play in because it's going to be you're not going to be able to see. You're not going to be able to run anywhere. It's going to be one of those games you're just glued to on TV because we're going to have. Remember when we were playing the Commanders? Was that 2019 where Bosa did the slide and everybody did this whole thing after the sack or whatever it is? You're going to see shit like that. It's going to be like that in that field. So we'll see. We don't have Jake Moody, who's going to miss like 3 field goals or whatever it was when last time we played them at home. We'll see how Matt Gay does. But then again, do you really want to be kicking in the weather like this? If it's raining and snowing and 20 to 25 mile an hour winds and all that kind of stuff, do you really want to trust your kicker to kick? No, you don't. This is was it 3 downs and a cloud of dust in the old Big Ten? This one's going to be 3 downs and a pile or lake of mud or whatever it is. Don't be mad when Shador puts on a football clinic. Yeah, I'm sure he has his own football clinic. I'm sure his dad has one that he set up for him, just like everything else he's done in his life. Oh, okay. There you go, Kenny. At least you got the joke with that one in there afterwards. There are 12 of us in the 0-4 gang. The 0-4 gang, what are you talking about, David? 0-4 Kings. Well, all right, everybody, that's all I got for tonight. Hopefully everybody has a good weekend. We will see you on Sunday morning as we do the pregame, the post, the halftime. Well, the halftime show has evolved into me just covering the entire game, doing a play-by-play. So, yeah, that's what that's. The kind of halftime show has kind of gone away with just doing the halftime show, since it's now a full game of play-by-play. And then Jamie will be by for the post game. Let's see. Only clinic he's going to be doing is the medical tent. Yeah, I don't want anybody to get injured. I never want to see anybody get injured. Yeah, but 0-4 for what? For against who? I'm not missing that one. So. All right, everybody, you are welcome, Elvis. Hopefully see you around and everything. Again, so we'll see you guys Sunday morning. Y'all have a good weekend. Kick the rest of the week Friday's ass. Fafitai. Ta-da. One love, people.